First, make sure that you log into Tinkercad with your Google account. Then click on Designs over on the left and create a new design. 3D. The first thing I want you to do is make sure you rename it with your name. If I don't get them with a name, and I'll go through I'll type in your email, or you should have gotten your email, like what is required for me to actually print your 3D ornament. But the first thing, if it doesn't have your name, then I'm not going to print it. So start it with your name and ornament. The next thing that you can do, I'm going to give you an option of 3 ornaments that you can make. So let's talk about ornament 1. It can be pretty basic. Drag over a cylinder. And the maximum height requirement, or the maximum height that you can have it, is 5 centimeters or millimeters. So you can change the sides over here, or if you click on one of these boxes, this is the height, these are the 2 sides. I would say your max length and width can be about 50. Whoops. You can change those to 50. And then, like I said, your max height, 5. So if you want to have it like kind of 3-dimensional, make sure your lowest level is going to be about a little bit lower than that, like 3 or something like that. Oops. Once you create your base cylinder, drag over another one and just make it a little bit smaller. So since the last one was 50, maybe I could do this one as 45. And then I'm going to make sure this one's a hole. You want these 2 right here to be lined up and aligned. So if you highlight and drag your cursor across them to select both of them, up here you have some different tools. And if you click the align tool, these align the height of it. You don't want to do those, but this will align them together in the middle. And then this one's going to align them across the other diameter middle. So if you highlight those 2, or those 2 red dots, you just click on them, it'll align them together. And then you can go ahead and group them. That's this tool, or notice that it says Control G. So either way, group them, and then you'll have your hole created. You can change your view over here. Everything that you work on, you want it at the plane level. You can either look at it straight on like that, make sure there's no gaps underneath, or the other way you can check to see and make sure that your object is on the plane level is if you click and drag this triangle up and down, it has to be, see, you can see the shadow right there now. You don't want to see that. It's not going to print. It's not going to print if it's floating. So you can just change it to 0. Or if you click on your object, okay, so if you're clicked on the box, let me take it up again, and you just want to make sure, and you could do this at the end, I'll show you again at the end, but if you just press the D on your keyboard, then it'll drop it right to the work plane. In fact, I might share this link with you in your email too. It gives you some quick shortcuts that you can use to do some moving abilities rather than trying to drag it around. And sometimes the keys are a lot easier than trying to know which one to click on. Sometimes you have to be in the right view to see a certain button to click on. So D will take your object and take it to the work plane. All right, so once you have your base shape, you can grab, we can just try a tube over here. We'll just take a tube and drag that. Everything that you, I want it to go over there. Just a minute. Everything that you put on this first object has to connect and overlap at some points. If it doesn't, then it's not going to end up printing together. So make sure when you drag over your objects that they're all at least overlapping in one spot. Okay, so for this object, I'd say the diameter is okay. You can make it smaller if you want. Right now they have a radius set to 10. If I made that a little bit smaller, like 8, it'll just take it down a little bit. That's fine too. You can change the wall thickness of this tube. And which, by the way, that is the way you could do that with the main thing without a cylinder too. I just wanted to show you 2 different ways that you can use to make objects, and you can make objects with holes. So let's change the height though, because we don't really want it to be up that high. We want it to be the same as the circle at the bottom. So we're just going to change that right here to 3 again. So then when I look around it, it looks like the same height. Okay, once you have your base circle, and this is where you can put, when you get home, the little hook thing to hang it on a tree or hang it wherever you want. But next, you're going to fill your ornament with whatever you want. Make sure your objects are like going to be flat on the bottom and they're not going to print. So like if I took this over, that's great. That's fine. That's solidly on the bottom. It's going to print. Now, if it were rotated, oh my gosh, I'm having problems with my things rotating here. Maybe that's not the one. No, it is 180. If it were rotated and upside down, that may not necessarily print okay. There's real important angles that it has to be able to build on the layer below it. And so anything overhanging has a chance, and we don't have as much time since we're just doing this for a quick activity at the end of the day this week. There's not a lot of time to talk about like angles and what can print and what can't. So just make sure with your ornament today that everything is laying flat on the work plane. If it's not, I can't guarantee that I can print that. By the way, if you do put something on like this that you don't want to use and you just press delete, it will get rid of it. So back to filling your ornament. There are a bunch of basic shapes here that you can use. For example, if you want to take over a heart, then you can. Again, remember, make sure that it's kind of overlapping with the other one with your circle on the outside, because if it doesn't, it's not going to necessarily fit in. If you want, you can make this a little bit taller than the circle if you want it popping out a little bit. And then you can adjust. If you hold down shift while adjusting, it'll keep your proportions. It'll keep the length and width. If you don't hold down shift, then you can make it like longer or taller, but shift will keep it proportional from your original image that you drag over. So I have my heart in. Maybe you want a star. Again, I'm just gonna make it a little bit smaller, maybe connect it right here. So it doesn't necessarily have to connect to the circle, but it does have to connect to something else. And maybe I want this to be 5 tall, and 5 is the max. If the height is over 5, I'm not going to print it because it'll take too long. We have a lot of people signed up for this, and so I want to be able to get everybody's printed at some type before the end of the year, before the end of the 2022. So that's how you put in shapes. There's some other shapes too, but again, it needs to be flat on the bottom if I'm going to use it. So if I click on like fun and games, a lot of these are not going to be printable. Obviously not the skateboard. The pumpkin could be iffy even. So it'll be really iffy what can and what can't be printed. Your best bet would probably be to stick with the basic shapes, but you can try it out. You can try and make it flat on the bottom if you want, or if there's something that really pops out. There's also another tool here. On the basic shapes, there's a scribble. So you can actually draw your own shape if you wanted to, your own swirl or whatever you want it to be. It'll show you what it'll look like. And then you just click done. And then same thing, you can make it bigger or smaller, put it where you want. Whoops, zoomed in too much. So I'm going to put that in there. Whoops. Keep everything that you add to your ornament, make sure it stays on the inside. Don't have stuff hanging out. Let's see. Actually, I think I'm going to drag everything a little bit more over here. And then obviously that's going to be too tall, so I'm going to change that to 5. And then the last thing that I want you to add, I want everyone to add, is some sort of personalization. So whether it be your name or if it's for your mom's name. So just drag over a text tool. And then if I want to change what the text says, like, I'll change it to Charlie. You can change the font. There's a few different options, not much. And also the other thing I want you to keep in mind is like things that won't print. So if I have this name here, this all actually looks good. But if you have like an I, let's see. I'm gonna try out some of the different fonts. Haley. This I right here, that the dot on the I is just gonna fall off, like if it's not connected to something. So think of that when you're doing your lettering. And then I'm gonna take it, make it smaller again, hold down shift. So if I want to keep it proportional, whoops, put it in my ornament. Oh my goodness, I'm having a time. I think it's my screen recording. It's like trying to use both of those tools at the same time. So that's why I'm having a tougher time. You can change the angle if you want to. You can click on D to make sure it's on the work plane and on the basic level. And then again, I can drag it in as I need to make it small enough. Whoops. There is an undo here, so I don't know what I just did on the last one to make it a little bit off. So I'm just going to click undo and then try it again to make it look how I want it to. I don't know if I like rotated it weird or what. I am trying to make sure it's touching each edge, but every single one of those letters are not. So what I'm going to have to do is maybe put a shape in behind them to make sure they're all connected to something. So I'm going to look through here. I don't know, maybe I'll just put in another star or another heart and then I'm going to drag this down to the 3 level. Like I don't want it to be prominent, but I do need something for my name to connect to. Actually, I'm going to drag it even a little bit lower because if you notice, the Charlie then is not going to show up. It's all just going to be at the base level. Or I could take, actually, that might be a little bit better. I could take my name, if I can select it, I did, and I can make it a little bit higher. Its height is right here. So right now, it's at 3.5. I could change it to like 5, and then it's popping up on top of everything. It's still overlapping, so it's still going to be connected to that star below, but it's actually going to show up. If everything is at the same level and then you have some details, those will not show up. So I just want to make sure and zoom in here that I have everything is overlapping with something here, and then I'm not going to have pieces falling out. The H is even right here. The C is with the end. So I think this would be safe and good to print. One other detail that you can add or don't have to add to each of your ornaments if you want is you can turn this into a year, your ornament holder. So I could take the text tool again and then do a 2. And then if I want, I can just copy and paste, Control C and Control V. I already have the O, but it's your 2022. So I can just copy and paste it one more time. And then I can take these up here and resize them. Again, though, they will have to overlap with something. They can't be greater than a height of what the rest of your shape is. And I believe I made mine as 3. It'd probably be smarter to actually just make one how I want it and copy and paste that one. That way I'm not changing the attributes of every single one of them. It just saves a little bit of time. So I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. Remember, if you hold down shift, it'll, I let go of shift right at the end. If you hold down shift, it'll save the proportions. I think a little bit bigger. Shoot, I didn't mean to do that. Make sure it's overlapping with something and that it is sticking to something. That's the best way I can describe it, that it needs to stick to something to be able to print. Otherwise, if it's just floating, it's just going to fall off your piece. Now I'm going to copy it and paste it. That is not what I meant to do. So I'm going to undo. I must not have pressed Command C or Control C on your guys' keyboard. So C, Control C, V. Okay, now I did. And then I can move it over. The right arrow works too, so I don't have to use my mouse. So my mouse can be over here and I can move it around however I want there. I'm just making sure that it's overlapping with something. And then I'm going to put one more and put it on this side. So it looks like 2022. Might even rotate them a little bit. Whoops. Notice the different black rotation arrows that come up based upon your view. So rotate it around until you're at the view that you want. So I think that looks a little bit better if I rotate it around this one too. 2022. Once you think you're all done and you think your ornament looks how you want, you have personalization, you know the entire thing is not greater than 5 millimeters. You also know that everything is connected to something else. So if something's going to fall off, I also wouldn't print that. Then go ahead and take everything together and group it. If you don't group it and you download the STL, it's just going to download the last thing that you had selected and it won't be your entire object. So group it all together. Click on export, STL, and then you're going to get a file. I don't think it pops up like for you, like it just did for me. For you guys, it'll probably show up in your downloads. So then you're going to go to your Chromebook, create a new email to me, attach a file, and you're going to attach this STL. I don't believe that you'll be able to open this STL file on your Chromebook. I don't think it has a viewer for it. So, that'll be from start to finish your ornament 1. If you go back to Tinkercad and want to check it, so like the next day or you started it, it is autosave, but you could always double check before you log out that you just click back on the Tinkercad words and it should show up in here what you have. And then go ahead and open it back up each day to work on it. You'll just click on Tinker This. Or if you're done, again, you can just edit or download it right there. All right, just like always with all of them, the first thing that you're going to do is rename them with your name and then ornament 2. So then this one, I'm going to show you some extra things that you can do to make it look kind of cool. If I were to just have basic shapes, there is a text option here. And just so you know, you could do one letter at a time with your name. Like I could type in a C, I could get it to the size. You really, if you hold down shift when you resize it, you can keep it proportional. I don't think you want to go any smaller than 5 wide with your name. Otherwise, it gets too tiny to print. So I tried one earlier and the details were just too tiny and I was not able to print it. So this is the only one that I think I would let you go wider than 50 by 50. However, I don't want you to have more than 7 letters. So, and then like I said, your letters should be at least about 5 wide. I'm going to show you a different way to get text because as you can see, there's only 4 different kinds here, and they're all pretty boring. So let's check out a whole other way that you can get some other text and some cool fonts. The first thing I'm going to do is go to Google Fonts, and I just did a search. So I'm just in fonts.google.com, and I did a search for like a script type font because I wanted them as connected as it could be. I also wanted fatter letters because, like I said, the very thin ones aren't going to print very well because it just doesn't. So it has to be. I really like this one right here because the letters are a little bit fatter. I like this one, but I already did this one, so I'm going to show you a new one. Let's just go with this one right here. So find a script. Oh, those aren't connected though. I wanted to also find one where more of them were connected because otherwise you're going to have to get them connected yourself because everything has to overlap to be able or be connected to be able to print. So I actually think I might take this one even though they're not quite as fat as I would like. So find a font that you want, and then go ahead and click on Download Family. On your Chromebook, just make sure you have it open once. Make sure you can see the files in there. Mine looks a little bit different than yours, but it'll be the same idea. You'll go to your Chromebook and go to your files and then Downloads. Then you're going to go to Font Squirrel, just Google Fonts Squirrel. And it's this link here, Font Squirrel. You're not going to use any of theirs that they have. You're actually going to go to this web font generator. And then click on Upload Fonts. And you want to find the one that you just downloaded. So in my downloads, I don't remember. Oh, I think it was the seaweed one. Find the one that you just downloaded. Yep, open it up. You won't see it. It won't let you if you haven't opened it already. So remember, before this, go to Files and then Downloads. Click on Export. Uncheck these two, and then check the SVG. And then you have to check mark these Google Fonts are open source, so they're legally able to use. So just say, yep, these are great. These are legal. Download your kit. And same thing, you're going to have to go to your downloads and open them up and make sure you can see them in there. Okay. Then once you are in Tinkercad, I just searched it. So I just searched custom fonts. And then it was this blue one, and it's called Custom Font Text. Drag that over. And then right here it says drag file or choose one. I just like to choose one. Downloads. You're going to find the web font kit that you just did. And I don't remember it. Nope, that's the old one. So find the one that you just opened and then find the file that ends in .svg and click open. Then you can change what you want it to say. Notice, I'm noticing here, this C is not actually connected to the rest of the word. So I'm going to see if I lowercase it, if it will, and it does. So I'm going to use just, okay. Just kidding. It still doesn't. Let me see. Try it one more time. Darn it. So, oh, it did. If it didn't, what I would have to do, I'll just show you that really quick anyway. So I would have to have the C by itself, get it the size that I want it. So again, I still want to keep it around around size 5 wide. So I'm going to hold down shift and drag it in until it's about, whoops, not backwards, 5 wide. Oh gosh. It is not wanting me to drag it any smaller. Oh, there we go. I had to like go up more than go to the left. Okay. So it's around 5. It's 5 something, 5.46. And I just held down shift so it kept it proportional. I didn't change actually the height. Then once I have my C, I can actually just Command C and Command V it to paste it and move it over. And then I can change the letters. So that way I don't have to put the font back in and write the rest of my name. And then I'm going to try and get it to hold down shift and match up so that the way the size looks pretty good. I'm going to click on the top view. But when I put it on there, so this is what you have to do with every single letter. If your letters aren't already connected, so now you know maybe why I chose, there's undo, why I chose one where they're already connected, a font, why I search for script. So I'm going to take it and try and I'll just connect it myself so that way I know that all the letters are going to be connected. Although the height looks off, if you know. So check all around. So this height is 11, or no, it's 2.29. And I think I want it to be 5. So I'm just going to change it to 5. And then I'm going to change this one to 5 also. Now they're all the same height. I think the size is pretty good. I could maybe make it a little bit different, but just get your name how you want it. And if you did have to do it in pieces and connect them and overlap them, then go ahead and group them. Once you have one name, go ahead and move it off to the side and go back to basic shapes and click on this polygon here. So I have a hexagon, 6 sides. I think I'm going to go ahead and copy it. Actually, I'm going to do sides. Oh, no, I don't want to. Let's do 7 sides. I think that'll look good. Hopefully it won't make it too messy. And I'm going to copy and paste this. And I'm just going to make this a little bit smaller by holding down shift and then dragging the corner in, hopefully. And then I'm going to make it a hole. Go straight back to, let me get home view. Okay, top view. And I'm going to take this hole. Actually, I'll just align them. So I'm just going to click and drag my cursor around both of them. This will be the easiest way rather than trying to get them aligned myself. I'll just click those 2 center dots. And then I'm going to group them. Oh, something did not work. I wonder if I didn't make one small enough. So let's ungroup them. What happened? It's like I lost. There it is. Here, I found it. Let's delete that. Let's see what's going on with that one. The reason why I was not able to see that one is it was shorter than the other one. So I'm actually going to, which makes sense because I did scale it down, but I'm going to drag it up higher. Then I'll go back to the top view. Let's align them again. And then I'm going to go ahead and highlight them both and group them. See if that worked. Aha. Then off of each of these, let's change the height. Actually, before I do anything else, we'll change the height to 5. And then off of each of these points, I'm going to put my name. I think I'm going to have it start at the center. and then have it go out. Have like my name sort of the center. So I'm going to drag it around if I can. So it looks as if it's coming off. But like I said earlier, like this has to overlap with the heptagon. I think I have 7 sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. And so each corner or each vertex, I'm going to have my name coming off of. And then I can just copy it. So Command C or Control C on the Chromebook, Control V. I'm going to use the arrow to get it off of the other one. Rotate it. Maybe drag it up a little bit. I feel like it looks bigger than the other one, and I don't know why. It just might be the angle. Yeah, it must be. All right. Control V. Take it over here. Rotate it maybe around if I can get. So depending on your view, that's going to be the rotation angle that you see. And I'm trying to get it, this one that I off the Y or the last letter to get it rotated. All right. And you can do fewer sides. You could stick with the 6-sided figure and only do your name 6 times if you want. Just remember, the fewer letters, the better, because oops, that's not what I'm trying to do. Because it is very, the smaller it gets, the harder it is to print. Okay. Click on home for a second. If you ever get like all twisted around and you're having a hard time viewing, just click back on home and then you should be able to change your view and get where you need to. Get the rest on. Then if it feels like you need to fix any of them, go ahead. I probably would mess around with it more if I weren't making the instructional video, but the next thing I want you to grab over is a tube. You're going to put that, whoops, hold down shift to keep it proportional. Whoops. Oh my gosh. As I've said in the other videos, I am having 2 things going on at once, so I think sometimes my MacBook gets a little bit confused about what I'm trying to do. I'm going to actually lower this to more so that way my name stands out. So my name, remember, was 5 high, so I'm going to lower this to 4. That way my name will pop up above all of those. And then try and center it a little bit. Oh, I'm annoyed by my name right here on a few of them. It just doesn't quite look very snowflakey. Okay, next I'm going to go ahead and if you feel like that wall thickness is too thick and it doesn't make it look very like a snowflake, you could always try and shrink it down. Just remember, the thinner you get, maybe like the less it's going to want to print, or if I want to make it a little bit bigger than I can. Finally, I'm going to go ahead and drag over the tube one more time. I'm going to put it on one of my names. I am still going to raise the height though, only to 4, so that way I can see my name above it. And then this is where I'm going to have like 2022. So I'm just going to drag over the regular text this time. Type a 2. Actually, I think I want to do... I think I actually just like this one the best. It looks the thickest. So 2. And then I do want it at about 5. I want this radius also to be about 5. Oops. Oh my goodness. All right, so I do have some overlapping, so hopefully they're connected there. And then have my name, and so this is where I'll hang the hook off of. The last thing that I want to do is highlight it all, group it, and then just like on the last one, then you're going to download it as an STL file and email it to me. I hope this works for you guys. One last ornament type that you can go ahead and use. Again, step 1. If you don't do this, I will not print it. Rename it with your name and ornament. This is just my 3rd, so that's why I'm putting a 3. So when I go to print them, then I know, but you're just going to create one. And so you can just type your name and then ornament. Okay, this next one should be pretty fun. Drag over a cylinder. And you're going to click on this side square and make it 50 by 50. And then make the height 5. And then make the sides all the way up. Okay, then I'm going to just make sure I'm on the top view here if you haven't already. I'm going to move this guy up here and then make sure it's still 50 by 50 and that the sides are cranked all the way up. And then go ahead and press Control C and Control V to copy it and paste it and move it over. And then you're going to change these sides to 45 by 45. Hit enter. And then change it to a hole. Then take both of these together. You just click your cursor as if you were selecting a bunch of text. You just click out of them in the upper left-hand corner, hold down your trackpad until you're to the bottom and it's selected both of them together. And then copy and paste those. Control C, Control V, and then go ahead and move your pasted circles down here. Then click out of it once and click back on just this one and change the dimensions to 43 and a half by 43 and a half. And then change the dimensions of this one to 38 and 38 and a half by 38.5. Then you're gonna take these and copy them and paste them. Move them down here. Click out of it once, click on this one, and change this first one, the sides to 37 by 37. This is definitely the more detailed one, and you will have to be precise if you want to make it, but I feel like if you finish it, it would look pretty cool. These sides to 32 by 32. All right, copy, paste it again. Whoops, click out of it once. And then change this to 30.5 by, oh shoot. Let me pause this. Oh wait, I was not able to. I was really trying hard to adjust these sizes when it was down here. And every time I clicked on this square, I couldn't get it to like show up. It just went lower and lower. So I took them, selected them, and then I'm just dragging them up here. So that way then I can at least see each of these sizes and change it to what it should be. So each of these I changed to 38.5, and then each of these I'm going to change to 25.5. All right. All right, the next thing that we're going to do now that we have all of those done is I'm going to click on both of them, and I'm going to use this array tool, or I mean align tool, and it's just going to align them. I don't want to align them their heights. I want to align them by getting them centered. So I click on the center here and the center here. Then once you've done that and they're lined up perfectly, you can group them. And that'll turn the hole into an actual hole so you can see that. So there's just one image now with the outside and the inside. I'm going to do that to each set of circles. So I'm going to click align, do the middle bottom, middle left side, and then I'm going to group them. Highlight both of them together. Make sure you just have the two, because if you line more than the two, then that could mess that up. But align, align, and then group. And then I'm going to do that to these two. Align, middle, middle, group. Now we want to take them all together, and we want to align all of them. And this tool will do that for us. We can just say, hey, we want the center to be all aligned up this way, and then all of them to be aligned up this way. And I'll take all the shapes that we made and align them perfectly. So if I click on home, I can change that view, or I can change any type of view, zoom in. Don't forget after you align them to go ahead and group them. So it's just all one image together. All right, next we're going to drag over a cylinder again. And you're going to want the two diameters to be 4 by 4. If you hit enter, it'll click out of it. And then you want the height to be 45. And then go ahead and just turn it into a hole. The other thing, don't forget, is make the sides 64. Okay, take this, copy it, and paste it. I'm going to just move it over a little bit. And then for this one, you're going to have it be 3 by 3. And you don't need to change the 45. It can stay 45. And then make it solid. So the solid one this time is going to be a little bit smaller diameter size than the hole. All right, click on home view. Even if like you're zoomed in or whatever, just click on home, and then take this square up here and go to the top right corner. Just click on it once. I think that will give you a good angle to be able to do what you need to do. So you're going to highlight these two together. And then this angle one right here, you want it to be 90 degrees. Hit enter. So see how it just rotated them 90 degrees. They're flat. And then press the D and that will drop them to the work plane. All right, now go ahead and go to the top view. Highlight them all together. Oh, nope, just kidding. Take the solid one out of the picture here for a second. Not out of the picture, but just not part of it. Put these kind of together so that way you can group them together. And let's go ahead and align them. So when you align them, and change the view a little bit, you want to align them up in the middle this way, in the middle this way, which is what we've been doing this whole time. We always align up the circle one way and then the circle the other way. This one's a little bit different though, because we also want it to be in the middle height wise. So if you zoom in over here, you can see this middle one here. It's going to also align your hole so that way it's not laying on the work plane, but it's going to raise that hole up a little bit so that way it's in the middle of your of the circles. So then I'm going to go ahead and group those like that. And then you should see the hole show up there in the middle. Go ahead and click back on to home view or zoom out a little bit so you can see them all together again. And now you're going to do the same thing with this cylinder and the sets of circles. So you're going to align them so that way they're lined up on this side of the circle, this side of the circle. Zoom in. It already is lined up in the middle there, but make sure that middle, if it's not, if yours wasn't like mine, go ahead and do that. Oops. And then select them all and group them. Okay, now we're going to add the top part of it. So go ahead and get a tube and drag it over. Have it be about like 20 by 20. Mine drug over to exactly that size, but then by 5. Whoops. Oops, again. And then get a hole, just a cube right here. That's a hole. And drag it so that way I'm going to move this circle. What I'm really trying to do is cut off the bottom half of the circle. So I just want to make sure that this is long enough to do that. So you just take this box, make sure it's long enough to go across the circle. Go across the circle, take them and group them together. Oh, that did not work. Undo. I need to make sure they're together. And I really felt like they were, whoops. And make sure it's on the plane. Oh, it wasn't. So I pressed D. That's probably why that didn't work the last time. It was not on the work plane. So now I'm going to try and group them again. And I cut it off. I almost think I need to go a little bit higher. So I'm going to bring that up to about halfway and try it again. Group them. Okay, that looks a little bit better. Then I can take this and plop it on there. I need to make sure that it is connected on both. Do you see where it overlaps on both of those? That's where you're going to hang your hook from. Okay, now you can add something like personalized or fun for the middle. So maybe you just want like a snowflake. So right now I'm on basic shapes. If I went to design starters and scroll down, there's a snowflake over here. I can drag it. Remember, if you hold down shift, you can make it smaller. I'm gonna rotate a little bit what I'm looking at. Make sure that you just change the height to 5 or less. Whoops, need to move it away from that. Sometimes if you get too close to the other image, it's hard to manipulate. Maybe I think I'm gonna do like 3. Whoops. Because I want to add my name to the top too, or my initials maybe. Let's search for just the letter C. What we get. Oh, type. What if I say letter C? Not exactly what I was looking for. Oh, here we go. Or I could just use the text tool too. And then this, I'm just going to have it's like a little bit taller. Well, 4 is good actually. And then drag it over to that. Oh gosh. Take these, group them together. Maybe make it a little bit smaller. So that way then when I take it over here, it's not quite what I was hoping for. I almost think, this happened on my last one, but they changed the whole height to 2.12, so I'm going to change it back up to 4. What is the height of this? Let's hope it's still 5. Okay, it is. So that is a little bit higher there, you can see. And then I'm going to take the whole thing and group it. And then I'm done with it. If you want something different in the middle, do something different. Like maybe you want get this out of there. Maybe you want like a Christmas tree. So I don't know if there's any already flat Christmas trees because remember what my goal is. I don't want to just leave this plain. I think it's too long to be unsupported. It's going to be an unsupported, it's kind of hanging there. So I'm trying to find something that I can put in the middle that's going to support that structure for longer. So I can even make myself a Christmas tree, whoops, if I want. So I could drag over one triangle, rotate it by 90. Actually, maybe I'll rotate it by negative 90. That'll go better. Negative 90. Okay. If I click on the top view, and then, I'm going to change the view again and make it only 5 high. Actually 4. I don't want it to be as tall as my other shape. It's probably going to end up messing up anyway by the time we move it over there. But I'm going to take this one, copy it, and paste it, Control C, Control V. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. Control C, V. A little bit bigger. And then I have myself a Christmas tree. So I could just take that. Actually, I want to add my initial too. So I'm just going to add CI. Or maybe I could change it to like 2022, whatever you guys think. Whatever you want on your ornament. If it's a gift that you're giving to someone, if it's just for you. Actually, that'll have to be higher if I want it to be above my tree. Because if you think about it, and if it's the same level as your tree, it's not printing into a different color, so it's just still going to be a solid. So if you want it to stand out a little bit, then you're going to have to make sure it stands out a little bit physically. Then I'm going to take it over here by my tree. Whoops, not what I meant to do. Anytime you do something like, I don't know what I just did, just click the undo button. If I want to make sure they're both on the work plane, I can just click on them and then press the D. But I'm going to group them together now. Check them out. It is not even close. I'm going to undo that. I feel like it's way too tall. Let's see. D. Oh, nope, it is. Okay. We'll put it back over there. Group them. And then I'm going to make it small enough to fit inside of my ornament over there. There we go. I don't know if you can hear my dog snoring in the background, but that's him. Okay. Oh, that's where it all went. It's all under it. Oh, gosh. So when I click on this, and this triangle will, that's not what I meant to raise. Undo. I want this image. This triangle will raise it or lower it, or I'm just going to press the D and make it, see if it'll go to the work plane. And it did this time. But now notice its height, 9.5. I don't know how it does it. It's somehow when I accidentally move it across the plane, but I feel like I messed that up a lot. Change it back to 4.5. I think is what I had it at for its overall height. I can see the tree behind it. We'll try printing out this one. I'll delete this. Last step is to group everything. So go ahead and make sure it's all grouped. Export STL. And then you'll open up an email, which I'm going to show you in the next one, and it should be good to go.